So get the signal here, we'll get started. You did? Okay, all right. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Northern Michigan University Board of Trustees Finance Committee. My name is Bob Mahaney, Finance Committee Chair. With me is Vice Chair Alexis Hart, Vice Chair of the Board, and Trustee Greg Sepinen, along with my fellow trustee colleagues, and we have an audience of thousands out there. Thank you all for joining. We're going to kick things off with Jill Compton, University's internal auditor, with their audit open issues report. Jill, take it away.
Thank you very much. You should have received the April 2022 open issues report. On the report, you'll see two items dropping off because we have reached a satisfactory conclusion. The first is the segregation of duties issue for the NMU Behavior Education Assessment and Research Center. We consider this complete. We have hired a person to do billing, and the reporting and billing are now two separate functions. So that issue is satisfied. The second is the multi-factor authentication issue, and all planned multi-factor authentication rollout is complete at this point, and the Committee for Information Systems Oversight will continue to review where multi-factor authentication would be valuable and will assess if we need to install that option in more systems as we go forward. So that also is complete and will drop off the report. New items on the report are internal audit reviewed the upcoming NCAA regulations. There are two NCAA regulations that must be fully in place by fall. We worked with Forrest Carr, and for the behavior issues, Dr. Chris Greer. She's involved in the issue of the regulation addressing behavior of athletes. We find that both issues have made significant progress. We have policies drafted and procedures drafted. Those should be in place well before the deadline. Last issue is on compliance reports and postings. As you may know, NMU has a database that holds all known compliance tasks, assigning each task to a person and a backup person and tracking completion. So we in internal audit reviewed all of the tasks for 2021 and the beginning of 22 to ensure that each task has been reviewed by its owner and marked as complete. And I'm proud to say that we didn't find any incomplete compliance issues for our COVID period or beginning of 2022. We did decide to take a closer look at how the state's boilerplate reports are assigned, and will likely split those responsibilities in a slightly different way, but no findings for that issue. Any questions about the report or concerns? Nope. Okay, that concludes my report.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask for a motion to accept Jill's report.
I would like to make a motion to accept the report as written.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is Jamie Beauchamp, University Controller, to discuss external audits for the upcoming year.
Okay, good afternoon. I believe you've all received a copy or the professional services plan from Raymond for this year's upcoming audit. I just want to briefly go through a few of the items in the plan. So on pages 3, 4, and 5 of the document, just list the scope of the services to be provided, along with the due dates and the timeline of all the services for the audit. And by performing these services within the services listed and within the due dates and the timelines noted, we'll be ensured that we'll be in compliance with all our financial reporting deadlines and state and federal guidelines and requirements. A little bit further in the document, pages 9 and 10 just shows some of the new accounting pronouncements that they always list out and show for us, the items that have to be implemented into our financial statements. And so we always work very closely with Raymond on making sure that we implement them and in the appropriate fiscal year. Let's see. And then a little bit further, starting on page 13 is the beginning of the engagement letter or the contract letter for the audit. List out the objectives, the scope of the audit, the requirements of Raymond as the auditor, our requirements as management. A little bit further, page 21 lists out the fees that we'll pay for the audit for the year. And then the only other item to point out is in the last 3 to 4 pages of the document is an example of the independent auditors report. This is the report really that we pay them to get. This year, the accounting industry changed up the auditors report a little bit, so it's going to look a little bit differently. But a lot of the same information. The big thing is the opinion. The main thing we want to get from them is put right up front at the beginning where it used to be at the end. So those are just the main summary of that. And we would need to get that approval to be able to start the audit services.
And the audit service fee for this upcoming year is how much?
86,250.
How
And
does
that
that-
includes, that includes the regular audit of our, the regular financial statement audit, the audit of the federal grants. And then also this year will be the 3rd year for every 3 years, we have to have an audit of the Ncaa requirements.
Oh, right.
So that, yep. So this is the 3rd year. This will be the year for the Ncaa agreed upon procedures.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. At this time, I would ask for a motion to accept the audit plan.
I'd like to move to accept the plan as written.
Support?
Any discussion? Only comment I would like to make is that we often go through these internal audit and external audit work, and we kind of take them for granted that we're going to have clean reports and good work. And having been on this board now for 7 years, we've had nothing but clean reports and good work. And I just wanted to thank everybody involved in that. I know a lot of work goes into it behind the scenes. And
Great. Thank you.
great work. With that, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion is accepted. Carries. Next on our agenda are room and board rates for the upcoming fiscal year. I would ask Mr. Leach, Vice President for Finance and Administration, to make his presentation.
Thank you, Bob. And I'm going to have Matt sit up front in case there's other questions. So last year for our room and board rates, it was nice from our perspective. We were able to do a 0% increase in room and board. So that was nice to be able to put that forward last year. This year, we're facing some significant inflationary cost adjustments, and primarily in the area of food. Costs are up about 8.4%. That combined with other inflationary costs for supplies, as well as compensation for employees, is requiring us to have a rate increase this year. While the food costs are up 8.4%, along with supplies being higher, we were able to work on some cost saving measures, and particularly in dining services through analyzation of products, product consolidation, process evaluation, and some improvement in equipment to reduce some of the costs of delivering the food. Through those measures, we're able to come forward with the room and board rate increase of 3.4%, which is about $189 a semester for the traditional hall meal plans. And for the woods, it would be $217 per semester, 3.6%. On the traditional halls, we actually raised the room rent about 2.5%, but the food costs were about 4.7% after we finished going through some cost saving measures. And so that's pretty much the bulk of what the increase is. We also are asking for rate increases in our apartments, and you have the list of those attached in materials. The range of about 2.25% to 4%, depending on the type of apartment. And one thing on our apartments right now is we actually have a waiting list for students to get in, so they're in high demand. And we feel this rate is reasonable in that regard, and allows us to maintain them in a high quality condition for those that are living there. And with our rate increases that we are doing, we feel like we're in a pretty competitive space for the types of halls and the meal plans that we're providing. So I'd ask the board or the finance committee here for a recommendation on the room and board rates, and for any questions you have.
Questions?
I'm sorry, Gavin, you said $189 was the increase?
Per semester, yeah, 370,
Per semester,
yeah.
okay.
It's more of a comment, and if you want to comment as well, but when you think about where inflation is at today, north of 8%, 8.6, I think was the last reported number. A 3.4% increase is pretty impressive. And the other thing that I would point out is that one of the reasons that we're able to keep this cost down is because of the very favorable terms that that the university negotiated when we built the Woods, in the PPP program that really caps and controls to a great extent the rate of increase on the Woods. So even though we're in a period of high inflation, because we're able to negotiate an agreement where our investor in that project required by today's standards a relatively low rate of return, we're benefiting from that now in high inflation periods. So it was a very prudent move.
Yeah, very favorable terms, that's for sure.
I just wanted to draw attention to that.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to forget.
Right.
So with anything more?
No, I'm just, any other questions, or if you guys want to put it for a.
Well, this too
Motion.
requires a motion to that we recommend to the board approval of the fiscal year 23 room and board rates. So I've asked for that motion.
I would like to move to recommend to the board to approve the fiscal year 2023 room and board rates.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next, again, Mr. Leach
You can stay there.
will be speaking to the fiscal year.
For the budgets.
2023 budgets.
Yeah, so for the fiscal year 22-23 budgets, we're just asking for continuation budgets at this time to keep operating at the same level the budgets are at now. Upon seeing our enrollment in the fall, we'll come in with final established budgets, but we'll keep our expenditures in line with where they are now, plus any contractual obligations that we have as a result of contracts and other maintenance agreements that we have out there.
Great.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 22-23 continuing base budgets for auxiliary operations, housing and residence life, general fund, and the designated fund.
Trustee Sutton, I'd like to just ask if you would like to just add to that a motion to recommend.
I'll make it a motion to recommend.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please
Aye.
say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Again, with Mr. Leach, our last item on the agenda, or last few items has to do with facilities.
All right, come on up, Kathy and Jim. All right, so the first topic we have here are capital projects over $250,000. See if I can pull this up. All right. And projects that we have that are over that level are related to the Bear Center, the Barry Event Center Hockey Locker Room, which is a primarily donor-funded project. Barry Event Center Ice Making System Replacement, Hardin Hall Library, Northern Center, and Northern Enterprise Center. The recommendations we're asking for are listed in your materials. Design budgets for the Northern Enterprise Center of $1,045,000. This gets us through the process of the bidding phase. So not actually going forward with the bid, but gets all the programming and design ready until we reach that phase. With the Hardin Hall Library renovation, $760,000. And again, that gets us prepared for bidding, puts together all the programming documents and design documents that are necessary to move to that bidding process. With the Berry Events ice system replacement, design budget is $435,000, and that gets us through the bidding phase. With regards to the Berry Events Center hockey locker room, we're actually asking for an approval of an additional $325,000 on that budget. I mentioned to you before that was over. Some of that was due to phasing of the project, where we had to phase it over a couple of years. And then we hit this high inflationary period with construction costs, and it was $325,000. Majority, more than half of that will be covered through donor contributions, with the balance of about $150,000 coming out of capital reserves. Next is first I'll talk about the hospitality management and cosmetology. We had discussed that previously, that there was a budget just with construction costs again. Inflationary costs in construction are super high, and this is primarily due to the mechanical and electrical systems that are going into that renovation. Current adjustment of $1.2 million. And then the one we just received this past week was on the Bear Center. And we're having about an $800,000 adjustment, and that's pure based off of the bid price and what the local market is on construction. That one, we had warned you it was going to be bigger. Just didn't think it would be that much bigger. And we'll have to, we do have some savings and operating reserves this year that we can apply to cover the costs of that one. Again, that's, we had checked on that against, had another construction manager look at it to see if it was reasonable pricing. Their costs, they actually came in, thought it might be a little bit higher than what it came in at. And so we felt like in the end, the bid was ultimately what we're going to get if we're going to move forward on that project. And we also looked at, could we switch and go new construction? Thinking that maybe, the price is getting to that point where you could do that. And if we went that route based on today's pricing, it would actually be add another $900,000 to that number. So to move forward on that project would require approval of additional $800,000. That would be the pure big cost. We wouldn't imagine any future increases. We've been told if we do wait, those steel prices are going up again, and they're almost guaranteeing them for not more than 24 hours anymore. So we could lose out on that. And if we delay these, all these are just going to keep going up as a problem right now. It's that type of market out there. And that's the rundown of the projects. Open to questions. I got Jim and Kathy here also to assist.
Did you touch on the K house?
Oh, that would be next. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Actually, I can go through the K house right now. The other item we're asking for approval on is in regards to the K house is more and more universities are going in the direction of offering presidents housing stipends in lieu of established residents on campus. As we've been evaluating this, we've discussed this with you previously on, is this a direction that we want to take? As we looked at the cost of operating the K house, it's about $70,000 to $71,000 a year to operate. Those savings could be used to go the same route as other universities in providing a housing stipend for the president. And it also would avoid future renovation costs, which have been fairly, over the years, be ranging from 39 to 70,000, depending on the type of project. And we do have some ones we'd want to do prior to any president being there now. So there's some costs that we would be foregoing right now. So when we're looking at this and the direction that pretty much the rest of the US is going on housing for presidents is they've moved more to the housing stipend model as opposed to providing a residence for the president. So what you'll see in the materials is a recommendation to sell the K house. And one other reason for that is there used to be many events held in the K house, but since we've renovated this facility, more and more of the events are occurring in the Northern Center, which reduces the need further for the K house. What we'd recommend, while it sits on a 9-acre parcel, we'd only recommend 1.4 acres of that parcel be sold with the household. And so I guess that's the last of the items with regards to capital and property.
And just to comment on that, Gavin, I think, we're in a seller's market right now. And we've been, presented with an opportunity to make a change. I think in terms of, attracting and retaining, a good candidate too into the area. This is going to be, go a long way.
Yeah, I agree. It's good time. If we're going to be selling, this is probably the best market to be selling in right now.
Yeah. Good.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to.
Just one second.
Okay.
Sorry. Going back to the Northern Enterprise Center and the design budget, that's roughly like 5% of the.
Correct.
And does that get you to construction drawings?
It gets you through bidding. Mhm.
To bidding, okay, same thing.
Yep.
And the same with the other two projects?
Right. Mhm.
All right, great.
We also anticipate
So,
setting out an RFP for a construction manager, and that includes those pre-construction fees.
Services. Mhm.
okay,
Where they assist with the design and estimating process, the construction manager, so their fees are included in there, an estimate for those
okay.
too.
What is our total budget now then? Does this mean the board approves this increase to Northern Center?
Well, it's not an
For
increase.
hospitality manager?
The Northern Center and the library is just approving the design portions
So
of.
I'm going down to project budget increases.
Oh, on which ones?
Hospitality management and cosmetology, the 1.2 million. So that total project cost
6.05.
6.05. Yeah.
0.05.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then the Bear Center would go from 1.2 to 2.0 million.
right. Okay, those are my questions.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to recommend that the board approve the projects over $250,000 and the sale of the K house and structure and the property as presented.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed, motion carries. We have one last item, and one thing that I failed to mention before you get into that is that our ex officio member is here as well, the board chair, Chair Steve Young. I'm sorry for not noting that at the start of the meeting.
Okay, final item is temporary liquor licenses, and we have to have this approved at each of the meetings. Right now, we're scheduled to have 3 events that require us to have a temporary liquor license. The Buffet Bash at Forrest Roberts Theater, and for 2 nights, so one for each night, June 30th and July 1st, and the Class of 1977 reunion held by the NMU Foundation, July 22nd, 2022. So we would need a motion on those.
Mr. Chair, I'll take that motion. I'd like to make a motion to recommend that the board approve the temporary liquor license as presented.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I believe that completes our agenda. I want to thank everyone for all their work.
Thank you, and thanks to the team here for helping me put this all together. And
Yeah.
Deb here for helping coordinate everything for us. So
it's exciting to see these, although we've had to increase the budgets for these projects. I would just say that if we waited any longer, costs are only going up. There's no end in sight that at least I see in my world. So I think it's better to take this action now rather than defer it.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with that because every time we turn around, their prices are going up.
So with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Do I need a motion to adjourn?
I guess, yeah, motion adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion
I
to
know, I
adjourn.
mean. Second.
Approved.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Steve. I blanked out.